Well, hello and welcome to Super Summer Series TV, episode 2 for season 25-26. Welcome, Ben. Looking forward to your company tonight. We have a hell of a lot to get through. We're going to look at the cease and desist order from the Fuggies, their contention with their logo. We're going to look at who's hot. We've got the SSS Players Association, which made news this week with past agreed player Chris Coughlin standing up, proposing to set up that. We'll break that down and have the Commission's response to that. And obviously the round 2 preview and the handicaps with a handicapper doing some new modelling. So really looking forward to that. I know some teams are really looking forward to seeing what their handicaps are as we come into the competition this Wednesday night. Let's start though, Ben, with the Fuggies, the logo legal libel. So you had a great initiative. You launched some logos last week and it was a pretty overwhelming response to a lot of those, wasn't there?
Yeah, firstly, thanks for having me. Everyone was quite happy with their logos. Obviously, a few adjustments for a few teams. Obviously, the Fuggies weren't quite impressed with theirs, but at the end of the day, it's been getting positive feedback from other teams within the competition. Other teams are quite happy with their logo. I've had no other complaints, and everyone is pretty happy to go forth throughout the season with the current logos that have been designed, which is great to see.
So the Fuggies reached out, made the Golf Digest, the Teletubbies have apparently put in a cease and desist order. We referred it to SSS Legal and it's been dismissed. So the good news is for the competition that it's above board. And let's just talk about the point of difference there. So, I mean, the Teletubbies submitted that cease and desist, but you can quite clearly see in the Fuggies logo, they don't actually have a tally on their tubby. And the major point of difference is purple Tinky Winky has a different aerial on the head than what's in the Fuggies logo. It more looks like a clover over there on the purple one, or it's kind of a triangle aerial. So it's been dismissed. So good news. The Fuggies logo stands up to legal scrutiny. There were some other logo options that were submitted. So let's, the fact is, Ben, you did submit some other logos for consideration by the Commission. And when I had to balance the integrity of the Fuggies and the competition, we made a judgment call that the one we've gone with stood up to scrutiny. So, I mean, we've got the other ones there. I don't think that represents what the Fuggies are all about. And this is your basis, your foundation for team logos. So just talk us through that.
Yeah, look, the Fuggies, who are they? What do they represent in their values? What's their purpose, their market position, and what does their talent represent? And I think this logo perfectly sums it up. That's what I did to the logo designing company that I did correlate with and discuss this with. And there is also a clear difference in their face as well. It's a bit clown-like, and obviously their talent is probably the main tick of endorsement I think we've got in terms of what this logo represents and what their talent represents as well.
Great job, Ben. Great response to all the logos. So the good news is it's trademarked now. It's endorsed by the Commission. So we'll move forward with that as the official brand of the Fuggies. And we look forward to seeing them out on the tee on Wednesday night. Let's have a look at who's hot and who's not. And I want to give a big shout out to Peter Horn because although Spazball did have a loss, they did come up against Double Eagle that had a handicap of 9 in their debut game, which kind of caught Spazball by surprise a bit. But he's unburdened now from the shackles of the partnership of Chris Coughlin. And we were there to capture him on the practice fairway before he hit around. Talk us through it. Like he was seemed free and at ease with life.
Looks like an enormous weight has lifted off Peter Horn's shoulders, particularly in the way he was swinging, the way he was moving, the way he was approaching things on the range in the practice round and also on the course. It looked like a whole new golfer, and it was the swing of a Rory McIlroy and the flexibility of a prime Phil Mickelson, really.
It was a level of style and grace that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Fleet of foot. Let's have a look at it. We've got some visage here of Peter Horn, Peter Bagger Horn, the practice fairway at Melbourne Airport.
As you can see, he's moving pretty freely here.
Just absolutely at ease with life.
Striping him down the fairway with ease and precision, really.
Well, it's Peter Bagger Horn, unburdened by the shackles of the partnership with Chris Coughlin. It's a delight to see. Bring it on. More of those sort of movements on the golf course from Bagger this Wednesday night. A little bit of shout out to who's hot as well, the golf gods. Nothing seems to get them down. Big handicap to overcome against the Fuggies. Overcame a shot a hole and just wore them down with persistent par and birdie golf. So a big shout out to the golf gods. St Albans Old Boys have got them this week, so nothing daunts them, and so a big shout out to them. That was a great debut. Won the premiership rematch. Let's have a look straight into the teams and handicaps as we come in to Wednesday night. The golf gods up against the St Albans Old Boys. We had the bye in round one. Ben, they started with a 4 plus, shot a 34 up to 38, probably not their usual best, so they're still their best is yet to come. Handicap has just given a slight little movement upwards, a 4.5 plus handicap, and the St Albans Old Boys coming in at 4.5. So that is a shot a hole, but I don't think that's going to daunt the golf gods.
No, I don't think so. They clearly had that win over the in the grand final rematch against the Fuggies with a shot a hole. Not sure on the clip. They didn't play their best golf, I don't think. So I'm not sure on the 0.5 increase. +4 is already a tough handicap. And the handicap for the St Albans Old Boys, well, that was obviously under revision, and the only handicap to be under revision across the whole competition, with the new commissioner coming on board. And how does this handicap sit with you, Commissioner?
Well, I think that's fair. I think we didn't do well in the semi-final. We went out, shot a score of over 40. I think that's a fair assessment by BJ as a handicapper, and I think we'll have a look through. He's got a new model. We'll get him on the show to talk about it. I think he's doing a good job.
I think there needs to be. I think that's too high, and I think there needs to be a punishment for being the minor premier. Obviously, selection issues in the semi-final probably cost them a grand final berth. But I think the 4.5 is a bit high for the St Albans Old Boys. Should be about the 3.5 mark.
Righto, let's move on. Who's going to win this one?
Golf gods will overcome the St Albans Old Boys.
Let's go in. Spazball up against the good fellas. Spazball, again, shot a 37, down to a 33. Come against Double Eagle of a handicap at 9. So not a great favourable round one for them. Against the good fellas, played you guys and lost, 45 into a 38. Coming down by 0.5, Spazball, and shooting out by 0.5 is the good fellas. So it's about, a couple of shots there in it. Who's going to win this one?
I think Spazball, with the way Peter Horn have obviously the weight off his shoulders, the way he's hitting the ball, the way he's moving around the golf course, I think he will come out firing. Obviously felt a little bit aggrieved with the handicapper in the round one matchup, but I think in this round two matchup he'll get the chocolates along with with his new partner, obviously, for Spazball. The good fellas, well, they were just sort of sandbagging towards the end. They probably felt that they were handicapped out of it, and probably just may as well keep that handicap going out. Seems to be a tradition for them.
The good fellas do what the good fellas do when they know the game's beyond them. They kind of blow out the score a little bit. But the handicapper, I think, is wise to these kind of shenanigans this season. I think we'll see a new approach to those kind of scores and that intent to try and scam the system. So well done to the handicapper on not falling for the good fellas' usual sort of play. Let's have a look at the next one. The Fuggies up against Live Golf. They shot a 43, probably not their best golf. Live Golf 0.5, lost against the Blue Gorillas last week. Fuggies out just by 0.25 to 4.75, and Live Golf with a loss also just coming out by 0.25. So there's 4 shots in that one. How do you see this one playing out?
The Fuggies, well, they choked a 9-shot lead in the last matchup. We've got a 4-shot lead this one. There's a lot going on in the background and behind the scenes. Obviously, they're more worried about what their logo looks like than how they perform on the golf course and defending their premiership. Live Golf, I'm going to back them in here. I think BJ's in some fine form, and I think at one point we have to say that Mark Ellison's bound. He's well overdue for a good game and a good matchup, and I think this is his week. We've been saying it for a long time, for the better part of 2 years, but I think this is his week. Round 2, there's no other.
Live Golf for you?
Live Golf for me.
Okay, well, this made news during the week, Ben, and I saw you comment on this, and you thought it was a welcomed addition to the competition, having Super Summer Series Players Association, their tagline, fair ways, fair play and fair compensation, being headed up proposed to be headed up by Chris Coughlin. Your thoughts first before I provide the Commission's thoughts on this.
As someone who's not part of the Commission, I think it's a welcome addition. I think it needs to be said that we need a third party to represent the players who are outside of the Commission. Obviously, there are players within the Commission who do get sort of looked after, and I think Chris Coughlin's only there to support the player. And I think him being not involved this year, obviously he is a listed player, but I think he was not direct involvement. It's a good thing for the competition to have someone representing for us guys on the outskirts who aren't quite involved in the decision making by the commission, and I think it's a welcome addition.
Yeah, for me, and here's the Commission's response, at the heart of it and at the basic principle, it sounds like a really welcomed addition to an elite competition where players can have some independent representation. I have to say, though, that I don't think Chris Coughlin is coming at this with really good intent. He's an aggrieved player, and I think he's coming at it from a position of just wanting to find relevance in the competition, having been discarded by his partner, Peter Horn. To find relevance and continue to be an agitator. And so what we would want from a president of a Super Summer Series competition is someone that puts their arms around players and represents their needs and espouses kind of best practice. And I just got some examples here of why I don't think that this man is the perfect candidate to be running an independent competition. Here he is here. He's obviously there with a handicapper. He's up there with a few players away on a golf trip. I just want to show you this little video.
Honestly, they dropped the World Cup. Honestly, they should never have played. It was absolute bullshit, and that's what they lost because the golf gods shadowed them for a great height.
So what's concerning to me here, Ben, really is we have Peter Delbridge, who is a former premiership player of this competition, who has clearly had a big day out. He's intoxicated. He's incoherent. And what he needs is someone to reach out to him to make sure that this substance abuse isn't going to be inherent in the way he conducts himself. This was a public display and a public posting on social media of Peter Delbridge in a compromising position. And what I would want from a player association president is someone who would actually protect a player like Pete Delbridge, not be proud of that. I would want someone that would condemn this kind of behaviour, not condone it. And I would want someone that's going to lead by example in terms of the behaviours that we want to espouse in this elite competition, not lead people astray. But here he is, up in there, standing behind Pete Delbridge like a proud parent. And I don't think that's a representation that this association needs, the Super Summer Series. So it's not an endorsed
He is
at all.
He is standing with the deputy commissioner of the competition. How does that sit with the commission?
I have spoken to BJ about this. Now, BJ was part of this video. We have cut it short, so it doesn't show the whole story. And BJ was interviewed, and he conducted himself absolutely above board, but he does actually understand that there was a conflict of interest. While he did conduct himself in the appropriate way, he was potentially at risk of being put into a compromised position. He understands that. We've had a conversation about it. He accepts it. We'll move forward. Nothing done wrong by BJ, but the nature of this discussion is if this man here is the right man to have the players' interest at heart. He just wants to be an agitator. He's not there for the best interest of players. He's there for his own best interest. And so on that basis, not supported. And we just hope that Chris Coughlin can find relevance outside this competition.
Fair enough.
Let's get into the next round. We have the Water Cannons up against Double Eagle. The Cannons having a win last week against the Specialist Fielders. Shot a 43, not their best round of golf. So can you believe it? They've had a win. This is the new model from the handicapper. They've had a win, and the handicappers found reason to give them a little 0.25 bonus on their handicap. Double Eagle, have a look at that one, Ben. I know you've got something to say on this. Shooting a 9, so now 38 off the stick, coming into a net 29. And now this is unprecedented. This is the new model here. The handicap has given them a right old clip of 3.5 shots down to 5.5.
Well, it was ugly viewing at the top of the ladder with Double Eagle. It was ugly to see 6 pars, 1 birdie, a net score of 29 and a handicap of 9. It was ugly. It doesn't sit well with me as a player within the competition. It didn't sit well with a number of players who play in this competition. And I think that the handicap clip down to 5.5 is welcomed. It could come into more, but it's a welcomed addition by the handicapper to bring that well in. And I hope that the Double Eagle can back up those scores and that performance. 6 pars and 1 birdie is sort of the golf playing of the golf gods and the specialist fielders, and they've certainly lifted into that. They've got that handicap of 9. I think it's a welcome clip. Water Cannons going out doesn't sit well with me either. I don't know how that's happened by the handicapper. That's a shock to me. But I hope that is justified in this week's game.
Who's going to win this one?
Well, I think it's hard to argue that Double Eagle, if they play the game with 6 pars and 1 birdie, they'll trample the Water Cannons and they'll come in with the victory come Wednesday night.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. The Blue Gorillas, 5.5. So started off with a nice handicap up against the specialist fielders. 3+ last week. Obviously, Luke Delbridge, Mitch wasn't there to join him last week. He had Lockie Cullen filling. He wasn't happy that there was no handicap adjustment. We'll touch on that later. Blue Gorillas come in down by 1.5. So a real big clip to them, coming in at 4. And the specialist fielders just coming out with that loss to 2+. So there's a 6-shot difference there. But the Blue Gorillas in fine form. Now, Wayne Johnson has another new player this week whose name will be announced on the WhatsApp group because Matty Mullins is still injured. So he's rotating through his partners, but no adjustment to handicap for filling players, as Luke Delbridge and the specialist field as well know.
Yeah, 5.5 into 4 for the Blue Gorillas. Wayne Johnson was aggrieved at the end of last season with how his handicap was adjudicated, and I think he's got the same questions coming into this round. To have the Water Cannons go out by 0.25 with a win, but have the Blue Gorillas come in by 1.5 with a win is kind of bemusing to me. So I feel for Wayne Johnson, and I hope he's got questions to ask of BJ coming in. Pete Delbridge was pictured with Brendan Jamieson up in the Gold Coast, and obviously I wonder if that had anything to do with his.
I'm not going to have you question the integrity of our handicapper.
I have to ask the
all
question.
above board, and I think the modelling, and we'll get BJ on to explain the modelling, but I think we can rest assured that he really gets it wrong. Berkeley and Co. You've got to buy this week. You had a handicap of 5 with a win. You've come down to 4.5 for round 3, but well done on starting the season with a win. So we wish all the teams the very best of luck Wednesday night. We'll talk about that. We're just going to finish with Maxie's Missile, just as a regular segment that we bring in every now and then for the episode. And who's going to be on the receiving end of the Maxie's Missile this week is Luke Delbridge. What we saw last week was a complete and utter meltdown from this young man. So he reached out. Mitch Jamieson, his normal playing partner, was unable to make it. Now, we have a new set of standards this year for this competition. It is Wednesday night, no fixture changes, no rescheduling. If your player can't make it, that is bad luck for you. You have the choice of playing solo and having 2 shots off the tee, or finding a replacement player with no handicap adjustment. Luke was demanding a handicap adjustment. It wasn't forthcoming. Myself and BJ were on the receiving end of numerous texts and WhatsApp messages. It wasn't forthcoming, and needless to say, Luke Delbridge was not happy. It did affect his game. They only lost by 1.5 shots, but we did go to ChatGPT just to talk us through some of the emotions that young Luke Delbridge went through when the decision go his way. So that's his initial reaction there when he found out that the handicap wasn't being adjusted. That's the reaction on hole 3 when he realised that he probably wasn't going to get the bickies with his playing partner. And that's Luke at the end of the game, ready to throw the clubs away in disgust. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't great behaviour. He was fined $30 for club abuse. It's not the kind of behaviour, Luke, that we want to see in this competition. The rules are the rules. It rewards teams that get their regular partnerings on the park. I'm absolutely behind BJ on that decision. And we expect better of you, Luke. You're a top-notch team in this competition. We expect better behaviour and to lead by example.
Fair enough. Can't argue with that. I didn't see it, but from all reports, it was disturbing to see him react in that manner on the greens at Tullamarine Golf Course.
Righto, there it is. Tee-off time between 5 and 5:30 p.m. All the best to the teams. Registration, we do have some payments coming in, so just a reminder, your $75 does need to be paid into the Super Summer Series account. Green fees are $20. We do hope that people can make it to the Kilo Hotel after the round to have a nice bit of social connection post-match and enjoy each other's company. Thanks again, Ben, for a jam-packed episode. Thanks for your insights and your commentary, and we look forward to a fantastic round 2 this Wednesday night.
Thanks for having me.